management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? Thank you, everybody, for joining us on a Wednesday, Pushing the Limits. Yes, the fastest-growing radio show, not only in the Valley, but throughout the country. And we appreciate you being a part of our day. You could be listening on the FM/AM dial. Could be on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, X, of course, the Occupy Democrats Facebook fan page, the Washington Press page. We are everywhere. And we appreciate you making us a part of your afternoon, wherever you are listening from. And you know, we get calls from all over the country, even other countries. So I'm very humbled by that, and I appreciate you guys joining us. Please check out my new website. I'm getting rave reviews. It's pushingthelimits.live. Again, pushingthelimits.live. I got a picture of a lovely young lady who lives in California who was wearing one of my Pushing the Limit shirts, and I'm going to start posting those on social media. So check it out. A lot to get to on that website and a lot to get to on the show today. In just a few minutes here, we're going to be joined by a woman by the name of Caroline Leavitt. She is the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump. A lot to get to with her on a lot of different issues. We are going to talk about both candidates campaigning, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. What did Joe Biden have to say yesterday on immigration? What did Donald Trump have to say yesterday? We are going to break it down. Donald Trump was in Milwaukee yesterday. And yes, just a few weeks ago, closed doors, he said some disparaging things about the city, but now he's saying the opposite publicly. So we will certainly talk about that and get to that. It is very important today to mark June 19th today, the third consecutive year of Juneteenth as a federally recognized United States holiday. It's also known as Freedom Day, Emancipation Day, or America's second Independence Day. Juneteenth, of course, commemorates the end of slavery in the U.S. after the Civil War. Now, there are some people that don't want to hear about this. I think you know which people I'm talking about. They don't want to hear about slavery. They don't want to celebrate Juneteenth. Many Americans, though, have celebrated annually for more than a century, and rightfully so. Even though the holiday was not officially added to the national calendar until recently, 2021. Now, I think as the Black Lives Matter movement certainly gained some power across the country and abroad the previous years with the killings of Black Americans like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Now, make no mistake about it, folks. Say what you want about George Floyd and how he lived his life. That's completely academic to those moments where he was murdered. And a jury of Derek Chauvin's peers found him guilty of murder. So I don't want to hear from you people about, oh, look at the drugs that were in his system. He shouldn't have been breaking the law. It doesn't matter, because in that moment he was murdered. And police officers can't be judge and jury. I think most police officers are heroes. I am pro-police, and I am also pro-Black Lives Matter. Breonna Taylor was murdered. She did absolutely nothing wrong. Maybe she was guilty of having bad taste in men. But they were looking for her ex-boyfriend who wasn't there, who was in jail, and Breonna Taylor was shot and killed. So public outcry became louder for the federal government to acknowledge emancipation as the critical turning point it was in U.S. history. So federal recognition, as I mentioned, came back in 2021, a bill to solidify Juneteenth, National Independence Day, as a legal public holiday. And I think this is important. Listen, the original date, June 19th, 1865, when the last group of people enslaved in the southern U.S. were informed of their freedom under the Emancipation Proclamation. President Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation more than 2 years earlier on January 1st, 1863. So, as I said, it's important that we mark this day, Juneteenth, and honor those who lost their lives, those who were slaves, and the end of slavery, which I think hopefully all Americans could agree is a good day, is a really, really good day. So I know that the Trump campaign put out a statement. I know that the Biden campaign put out a statement. And it's a good day of remembering, a positive day when slavery, commemorating the end of slavery. I think hopefully we all can agree on that. All right, so joining us right now on the show, her name is Caroline Leavitt. She is the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump, and she's nice enough to join us right now on the line. Caroline, I appreciate you taking the time to come on. How are you?
Hey, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great and hope you are too.
I am. I certainly appreciate you coming on. You have a difficult job to do, and I can't even imagine how many interviews you do every day. So a lot of questions to ask you in a very short period of time. Let's start with Las Vegas. As you know, Donald Trump was in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. Nevada is a swing state. I think we will certainly both agree on that. It's a very important state. So he raised some eyebrows, Donald Trump, talking about not taxing those on tips. And I think, Las Vegas being a service industry town, a lot of people are in favor of that. I'm in favor of it too. But I guess my question to you is, why didn't he do it like years ago when he was president? That's the question a lot of people are asking. What do you say to that?
Well, there's never a bad time for good new ideas. And in President Trump's first term, he did sign the largest tax cut in American history with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which puts thousands of dollars back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. And now in his second term, he's pledging to take it a step further with additional tax cuts. And also, as you just said, a pledge to work with Congress to ensure that tipped wages are no longer taxed. President Trump believes that service workers in Nevada and in every state across this country work very hard for their money. We know that they do, and we want them to keep that money. Mm-hmm. And this is a stark contrast to President Biden, who has recently promised to sign the largest tax increase in American history, which many economists agree would cost the average working family in this country more than $40,000 per year. We can't afford that, especially in this inflation crisis that we're still in.
So, Caroline, I want you to respond to this. So the CRFB said we estimate exempting all tip income from federal income and payroll taxes would reduce federal revenues $150 to $250 billion over 10 years on a static basis, and could reduce revenue significantly more once behavioral effects are incorporated. Can you respond to that? That's according to the CRFB.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, certainly, of course, when you're removing taxes and putting more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans, there's a lot of bureaucrats in Washington who are going to be concerned about how much less revenue that's going to take in. The truth is, the United States government is spending way more than it should be. President Trump is going to make sure that Washington is balancing its checkbook, just like hardworking families across this country have to do every single week and every single month and every single year. Our government is not doing that. And we're also going to pay down our debt in a second Trump administration by unleashing the might of our energy industry. There's a lot of profits to be made from being a net exporter of energy. We have the precious resources we need in this country to do it. Joe Biden is not tapping into those, but President Trump will.
I want to ask you about the black vote. This has been a large topic of discussion over the last few weeks, support that Donald Trump has from black voters. So you know what took place in 2016. If memory serves me right, it was somewhere around 15%. Same thing in 2020. Now I'm hearing that 20% rate. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that Donald Trump did get 20% of the black vote in November. That's still only 1 in 5 black Americans that are voting for Donald Trump. Why? It's still, to me, that's still low. Why?
Well, that's actually a historic margin. No Republican candidate has ever come close to polling with the support from the black community that President Trump is. He's making inroads with this demographic. The Democrat Party has long had, a majority of their support, unfortunately, because the Democrat Party has had a lot of empty promises. You look at every Democrat-run city in this country, crime rates are high, poverty is high, the quality of life is low, and in many of these Democrat-run cities right now, they've turned into sanctuary cities because of the Democrat politicians who run them, and they're being overrun by illegal immigrants who have been allowed into this country by Joe Biden and his administration. And so I think you're seeing people in these communities that are waking up, that want to be put first by their government. They're struggling to get by in this economy, and then they're seeing illegal immigrants come into their communities on a free ride. President Trump is offering to stop that, and he has an aspirational message of peace, of opportunity.
Did we lose?
And that's it.
There you go. Caroline, did we lose you there for a second? Are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Sorry about that. You went out there for a second.
Hello?
Nope. Yep, I got you. Can you hear me okay? Caroline, did we lose her? Caroline, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, you just went out there for about 5 seconds or so. So if you want to finish that one, go right ahead, because we lost you for about 5 seconds. Go right ahead.
Yep, I was just saying that President Trump has an aspirational message of opportunity and prosperity, and that's one that resonates with all Americans, regardless of their race.
Gotcha. Okay, if you're just joining us, Caroline Leavitt, the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump. I do want to ask you about something because you had alluded to crime in this country, and Donald Trump alluded to it yesterday in Milwaukee. He said, quote, worst crime wave in American history. The last stats that I saw, that crime has plummeted in 2023 and for parts of 2024. What would you say to that? Because it appears as though crime has gone down.
Well, I think you're looking at the FBI's crime statistics, which
Right.
are not entirely accurate. We look at statistics from outside organizations, outside of our government. We also look at crime statistics from the Crime Victimization Survey, which is actually produced by the Department of Justice, Joe Biden's Department of Justice. Those statistics show that violent crime is on the rise, especially in Democrat-run cities. It also shows there's been a more than 100% increase in car thefts in this country. And another thing the Biden campaign and the White House are saying is that there is no increase in migrant crime. Well, that's because Democrat-run cities do not categorize crime committed by citizens versus illegal immigrants, but one can just read local headlines across this country every single day about illegal immigrants who have come into this country over the past 3.5 years and are committing heinous acts of violence, like the case we learned this week of the Maryland mother of 5 who was brutally raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. There was also a case yesterday in New York. It was revealed that an illegal immigrant from Ecuador brutally raped a 13-year-old in broad daylight. These are real stories, and one victim of crime is one too many. We need law and order in this country. If we are a nation without laws, if we are a nation where criminals are allowed with no bail back into the communities within 24 hours, we're going to be a nation that ceases to exist. And President Trump is the law and order candidate in this race.
Okay, so I agree with you that one crime is one too many. I'm with you on that 100%. And listen, the debate can be made and the argument can be made. Yes, there are far more illegals coming into this country under Joe Biden than Donald Trump. I'm not going to debate that because that would be a true statement. The only thing I would say is there were illegals that committed crimes under Donald Trump. You know that. There were murders. There was crime, maybe not as much from illegals. But if one crime is too many, didn't I not hear Republicans talking about murders that were done by illegals that were in this country under Trump? I mean, I could name the names. I don't want to do that. You see where I'm going with that? I mean,
well, we did hear about it. In fact, I worked in President Trump's White House in his first term, and he was the first president ever to host roundtables with angel families. In fact, that term is known to the American people because he made it known. And angel families are those that have loved ones that are killed by illegal immigrants. And President Trump highlighted their stories in a way that no other president did. So Republicans have been talking about this. President Trump has been talking about this since 2016. And we know for a fact that illegal immigration at our southern border declined significantly in President Trump's 4 years. There was an 87% decrease in illegal crossings where he built his border wall. Deportations were up, and it's a sharp contrast to what we're seeing now with the record rates of illegal immigration under Joe Biden.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Donald Trump's comments yesterday in Milwaukee. But before we do that, let's try to put this to bed. I want to hear this from you. You know the rumors that circulated from those that were in the room where he made some disparaging comments about the city of Milwaukee, and then publicly yesterday he I don't know what term you'd want to use, walked it back or said it wasn't true. What did he say in that closed door meeting? Because some Republicans speaking to the media said otherwise. What did he say, and what was misconstrued, if anything?
Well, there was a misstatement by a reporter who was not even in the room that was apparently receiving bad secondhand knowledge from someone who was in the room that day. President Trump was specifically asked about crime and election fraud in the city of Milwaukee, and he simply described those two things as horrible. I think any common sense American would agree that election fraud is horrible, crime is horrible. No one wants to see either of those things happening in any city, and that's what was said. And there were multiple people who were in the room with him that day that concurred with that account, my colleagues included. And, that's what he said, and he meant it because it's true. He obviously did not disparage the city of Milwaukee in general. He's the one that picked Milwaukee for the site of the Republican convention in a few weeks.
Right. I mean, when I heard that statement, I said he can't be dumb enough to make a statement like that because that would be a horrendous thing to say. Okay, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, Caroline, but I want to ask you about a few things, if I may, here in the next couple minutes of some of the statements he made yesterday. He said he won Wisconsin in 2020. You would admit that that was not true. He lost in 2020.
Well, look, Of course, we know what happened in 2020. Joe Biden is in the White House now because of it, unfortunately.
Right.
But with that said, there were election irregularities that took place in Wisconsin, and President Trump talks about them all the time. That's why the RNC has new leadership now that is focused 100% on election integrity.
But you would agree with me that Joe Biden won Wisconsin in 2020, that when Donald Trump gets on a stage, regardless of irregularities, as you put it, Donald Trump did not win Wisconsin in 2020. Is that a fair statement to make, in your opinion?
I would agree with President Trump that there were widespread irregularities in Wisconsin that unfortunately led to a lot of illegal ballots that were cast. But of course, we know what happened in 2020. The American people know that. Election integrity is at the top of the minds for voters across this great country, and President Trump has the right to talk about it, and he has the right to do that in any way he sees fit.
Absolutely.
And people like you and the media may have an issue with it, but I know the American public do not, and that's why President Trump is actually winning in the polls in Wisconsin right now, and every other battleground state as well.
No, I can't speak to the polls. I guess the reason why I'm asking you, because we can all have our different opinions, right, on what took place in the 2020 election, and he could raise concerns about election irregularities like you are. It's just when somebody makes a statement that, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, when you say you won in 2020, that's just, all I'm saying is that's just not factually accurate. But we can agree to disagree on that. That's fine. Do you believe that the Democrats rigged the 2020 election? Because that's what Donald Trump said yesterday in Milwaukee. You're the national press secretary, so I want to hear this from you. Do you still believe that Democrats rigged the 2020 election?
Absolutely. And I think there are people millions of voters across this country who believe that, and it was rigged in multiple ways. First of all, we had a circumvention of state laws in state legislatures across this great country that were unconstitutional with the excuse of the COVID-19 pandemic. We also had big tech engaging in unprecedented illegal censorship with our federal government to protect Joe Biden. In 2020, I remember working in the White House at the time. The Hunter Biden laptop was revealed days before the election, and 51 intelligence agents from our intelligence communities wrongfully lied, signing on to a letter saying that laptop wasn't real. It was Russian disinformation. They knew that to be demonstrably false. We know that now because the laptop was just used in the Hunter Biden trial as a main piece of evidence. So yes, there was censorship. There was a circumvention of our country's laws, or our election laws in states across this great country. We now know for a fact there were widespread irregularities and fraud. And that is the truth about what happened. And that's why Republicans are working very hard, both on our campaign team and also at the Republican National Committee, to shore up election integrity ahead of this election in November.
I have no problem with election integrity, but I guess my question to you is, will that ever be proven in a courtroom? Will it ever be proven in a courtroom that there was widespread voter fraud? Because it hasn't been proven to this point. I guess that's my question.
Unfortunately, we have a lot of corrupt judges in this country that threw out cases, but I beg on the side of the American public, and there were thousands of Americans who signed sworn affidavits testifying to what they saw on Election Day in 2020. They testified to illegal ballot harvesting, illegal ballot stuffing. There are people on video that were pushing hundreds of ballots into ballot boxes, even though that's blatantly illegal. So I agree with the American public and the thousands of Americans who signed sworn affidavits about what they saw in the 2020 election.
All right. Let me ask you a question about what Trump said about cocaine in the White House. We do know that there was cocaine found in the White House. Absolutely true. He made the statement that hundreds of thousands of dollars of cocaine was found there, when we were told by the FBI it was more like hundreds of dollars. That might not be a big deal to some, but I mean, what as you being the national press secretary, what would you say to that?
I would say that the fact that there was cocaine found in Joe Biden's White House is a major problem for the Biden crime family. And if it were President Trump's White House where cocaine was found, you in the media would still be obsessing and talking about it every single day of your lives.
Well, I mean, all I can say to that is, the FBI investigated it. I wait for the investigation and then take it from there. I don't know if I don't think they found that Joe Biden had anything to do with the cocaine, but I would say this: if there's evidence of that, then go for it. I'm all for it, Caroline. I want to ask you about the debate coming up before I let you go, Caroline, if that's okay. And I appreciate your time. This is a very much, I think we'll agree on this. This is a big anticipated presidential debate. I think it might be the most viewed presidential debate in our lifetime, right, Caroline? I think we're around the same age. What do you make of this debate coming up next week on Thursday? What does Donald Trump need to do, in your opinion? And, can you just give me some points of I guess, what you want to see from Donald Trump up there on a debate stage a week from tomorrow?
Well, we are very excited about the debate next Thursday. In fact, it was President Trump who, for months, called on Joe Biden to debate anytime, anywhere, any place. Joe Biden went on the Howard Stern radio show and, whether he knew it or not, agreed to debating President Trump.
Right.
So his campaign team was forced to commit to this debate next week. So we're excited about the opportunity. It's going to be a grave contrast on that stage between President Trump, who is a strong leader, who is ready to lead America back to greatness, who will be talking about all of the very successful policies of his first term, versus Joe Biden, who is obviously very, very weak as a commander-in-chief and has a record of failure. So it's going to serve as a great contrast in front of millions of Americans, and we look forward to it.
Yeah, as do I. Last quick question for you, Caroline. I've always said that Joe Biden should do Fox News. He should do the opposition. He should do Newsmax. I've said that was one of my biggest criticisms of Hillary Clinton when she campaigned, when Trump won in 2016. She didn't do the interview she should have done. She ran a bad campaign. Would you agree with that, number one? And number two, I know that Donald Trump isn't a fan of CNN. I know he's not a fan of MSNBC. But I go to both sides and I say they should do interviews with the opposition. I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that.
Well, absolutely, we agree. That's why President Trump held a town hall in the middle of a Republican primary with CNN and Caitlin Collins, who is arguably one of the most hostile anti-Trump journalists on television. That's not an opinion. That's just fact. Watch her show every single night. President Trump still held a town hall with her. He was very prepared, and he did very well in that town hall. I would say Joe Biden doesn't even need to just do Fox News. He should just do interviews in general, and I'm sure as a member of the media, you could appreciate that. He has sat down for less interviews than any president in modern history. He's the least transparent president. He hardly takes questions from the press. He never speaks to the White House press corps, and he should do more of that because the American people deserve to hear the truth from their commander-in-chief. But I think Joe Biden's handlers don't want him in front of the media because, frankly, he can hardly go out in public without tripping over his words. But I would love for him to come on your show.
I would love him to come on.
He should do that, and he should go on every show possible because he's the president, and that's just part of the job.
And you know what? I treat everybody with respect that is willing to come on this show and answer difficult questions, and I certainly have respect for you for doing so. I will say this, Caroline. I would love to get Donald Trump on this show for 10 minutes before the November elections. I would treat him with respect. I would ask him challenging questions just like I'm asking you, but I think these are productive conversations. I think you'll agree with me on that. I would love Joe Biden on the show, and I would love Donald Trump to come on the show. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to be challenged. I would love to challenge Trump, and I would love to challenge Biden. But, Caroline, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and answering these questions. You're always welcome to come back on anytime you like, and thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. Thank you for having me, and we'll be back in the great state of Nevada very soon.
Great. Thank you for your time, Caroline. Appreciate you. That's Caroline Leavitt, everybody. She's the national press secretary for the Donald Trump campaign. Listen, she has a very difficult job to do. It's not my job to get into like heated debates with a press secretary. She said, a number of things that obviously I disagree with. We can go through them one by one. But let me start here. Donald Trump did not win in Wisconsin in 2020. I was hoping that I could get her to admit that. Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. I think that's just from a political standpoint, really bad to continue to challenge the 2020 elections. So he didn't win in 2020. And I do find it a little bit problematic when you have the national press secretary for Donald Trump talking about all these voting irregularities and about how the Democrats rigged the 2020 election. They didn't, because there's no evidence of it. And she could talk about, these, ballot stuffing and all this other stuff, but it's never been substantiated. So that was my first issue. Sounds like a very nice lady. Disagree with a lot of what she said. There's a lot of other things that I didn't get to with her, but the bottom line is Donald Trump said that we have the worst crime wave in American history yesterday. That's not true. As I pointed out to Caroline, crime has plummeted in 2023 and 2024. Now she's saying we should believe what the FBI puts out there. How do I go with that? The only real stats that we have are from the FBI. I don't think the FBI is lying, and they're not all in the bag for Joe Biden. We heard the same talking points about Joe Biden fumbling and bumbling and tripping over his feet and all this other stuff. I expect that from the Trump campaign. But the biggest part of that interview that is problematic, is, I guess the word I would use, is Donald Trump said yesterday on a debate stage that he won Wisconsin in 2020. He lost. And while anybody can throw something at a wall and hope that it sticks, the bottom line here is there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud in any state that has been proven. So, I mean, listen, I'm beating a dead horse here. I talk about this over and over and over again. Donald Trump said a lot of things yesterday that were not true. He said that Joe Biden wandered off at the G7. No, he didn't. He took 2 steps in the direction towards a man in a parachute and gave him the thumbs up. That's not wandering off. That's a lie. He said the January 6th committee deleted all records. That didn't happen. That's a lie. He said total inflation under Biden, 40 to 50%. No, he didn't. That's a lie. It's at 19%. He said worst crime wave in American history. That's a lie. It's plummeted in 2003 and 2024. He said Democrats rigged the 2020 election. No, they didn't. That's a lie. So I can go by just some of the things that Donald Trump said yesterday that are blatantly false, that are not true. But I want to start off by playing you a little bit of audio from yesterday. And I want to start off by, and we'll take some calls a little bit. So I want to start with a Trump fan, or I should say, a Trump voter, a guy that was at the waiting to hear Donald Trump speak in Milwaukee, Wisconsin yesterday. And the question is asked, what do you want to hear from Donald Trump today in his speech? Have a listen to this.
So what is it that you're looking forward to the most today to hear from President Trump?
Put Biden to shame and just expose all the corruption.
Put Biden to shame and expose corruption. Now, if I'm listening to, say, somebody that I'm voting for, I want to hear policy. I want to hear what they have to say, what they want to change, what they want to do. I don't want to hear people insulting other people. I don't want to hear somebody shaming somebody else. I want to hear something of substance. But some of these Trump supporters just want to hear Donald Trump up there calling Joe Biden names, Dementia Joe, among others. And I just find that very telling and very interesting. Now, here's a guy, he calls himself Trump's nephew. He's a rapper. He's a failed rapper. He's not Donald Trump's nephew. He calls himself Trump's nephew. He wasn't selling any records. He wasn't making any money. And then all of a sudden he started riddling out raps about Donald Trump, and then he became popular on social media. Listen to what he said before this rally yesterday.
Never seen support for a president like this ever, right? Donald Trump has the most support out of anybody. I mean, Donald Trump is almost bigger than, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, his brand is humongous.
Donald Trump is almost bigger than the Philadelphia Eagles or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would say he's definitely bigger than some of the linebackers. I'll agree with you there. He's morbidly obese. Trump is bigger than a sports franchise. I mean, I've never heard people talk like this about a president. That's why I call it a cult. This is a cult. And then somebody else is asked, what do you love most about Donald Trump? Listen to this very brilliant exchange from this Trump supporter.
What do you love most about President Trump?
I don't know. Dad, what do I love most?
Everything? That's hard to choose one thing, right?
It's hard to choose one thing. I don't know. If somebody asked me, what do you love most about Joe Biden? I would say his empathy. When he talks about loss, when he talks about losing his first wife and daughter in a car accident, when he talks about losing his son who served, Beau Biden. That's what I love or like. I don't know if I'd even use the term love. That's what I like about Joe Biden. I think he's a man that has empathy, and he's been through a lot of pain in his life, and he resonates with a lot of people. Here's another guy at a Trump rally yesterday. Listen to why he says he supports Donald Trump. Have a listen to this.
I think it shows that Trump is built different, and he's not doing this for the benefit. Like he was already a billionaire before, nice properties around the world. He's doing it because he cares about people. And I think, like you said, all the stuff he's going through shows it. Because if I just wanted the power, if I just wanted the money or fame, any other politician would have dropped out, criminal cases, all that. But I think it shows that he's in it for the people, and that's why he wants to continue.
He's in it for the people. He doesn't care about the money. Well, I would ask that person, why is he selling Donald Trump Bibles? Why is it when he got out of jail when he was, I guess, fingerprinted and all that stuff. Why is it that the first thing they did is they sold parts of his suit for boatloads of money? Why is it he sells $750 gold Donald Trump sneakers? Why is it that when he lost the election, he said he wanted your money so that he could fight voter fraud and voter integrity, and he got upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars, over $300 million? If he doesn't care about money, then why does he want your money? If he doesn't care about money, then why is he a swindler trying to sell $750 gold sneakers? Why is he selling Trump Bibles? I mean, this is just absolutely and utterly absurd. Here's what we will do. We are going to take a quick break. We do have more audio to play for you later on in the show, but I also do want to take some phone calls. So the number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Your reaction to Caroline Leavitt. We just had the national press secretary for Donald Trump joining me on the show. And listen, I'll say this. I'll be honest with you. She was very well prepared. She had her talking points ready to go. She's done plenty of interviews like this before, and she was ready to go. Now, I disagree with her with a lot of the stuff she said, but she was certainly ready to go with her talking points, and she was willing to answer any of my questions. So I do appreciate that. Your thoughts on that interview and thoughts on some of these cultist Trump supporters, some of this audio that I just played for you. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with your calls at 702-221-7283. And again, the number 702-221-7283. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. All right, welcome back. It is PTL on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We just had the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump, Caroline Leavitt. You've probably seen her on all the networks. I'd like to get her back on. She said a lot of things that I disagree with. That is for sure. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to sound off on it. Before I do that, please check out my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Every Tuesday this month, show your TAM card, and you get $50 in free slot play. And tomorrow is free gas card day. That's right. They're going to give out 15 gas cards worth $100 each. The more machines you play, the more slots you play there, the better chance you have to win. Check it out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, and tell them I sent you. Great food, great atmosphere. Jackson's Bar and Grill. I promised you I would get right to the phone calls. We just had the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump, Caroline Leavitt, joining us. And, well, I want you to sound off on it and give us your thoughts. Give me your thoughts. I gave you mine. Let's start off with Jeff. Jeff is first up on PTL. Hi, Jeff.
You put a lot of weight into that FBI crime rate.
Mm-hmm. Do I put a lot of weight into it? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, you just did. You repeated it. Did you know that 40% of states don't participate in that, including L.A. and New York?
So what I have to go by are the stats that have been put out, and the stats that have been put out across the country are that violent crimes and murders are way down in 2023 and 2024. And by the way, you could look that up not just by the FBI, but from a state-to-state basis. The idea that Trump said, and the reason why I brought this up, Jeff, is because Trump said yesterday that we had the highest crime wave in American history. That is absolutely not factually accurate and not true, and that's why I bring that up. Now, listen, if you don't want to believe the FBI, you have the right not to believe the FBI, but I will take what I have from the FBI.
You're such an idiot.
Okay,
the
so
first
of all, bottom down for a second. We can have a conversation and we can disagree, but I'm not going to have a conversation with you if you start to insult me. Okay, so I'm going to pod you back up now. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you, even if we disagree. Can we have a conversation without insults? Can we do that, Jeff?
Can you have a conversation and listen to facts?
If you don't insult me, we might disagree. You might not convince me, but would you like to have a conversation without insults? I'm happy to do that with you, Jeff. Would you like to do that? Can I get a yes
Go
or
ahead.
no? Well, no, I'm not
Go
going.
ahead.
I'm just looking for your answer. Can we have a conversation without insults? And then I'll let you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, you go ahead. Go ahead. You were making your statement. Go ahead. But you had called me an idiot to start your conversation. So go ahead.
I did never call you an idiot.
Okay, you literally
You
just...
are one, but I didn't call you one.
Okay, I am one, but you just used the term idiot. I don't have the MAGA wax in my ears. I could hear what you have to say. But so if you don't...
What I said.
Okay, well, okay. So what do you like about
Just
Donald
like
Trump? Okay. Are you not capable of having a conversation, sir? Or are you? I'd like to have a conversation with you, but you're making it really hard. What do you like about Donald Trump? Why should try to convince me to vote for Donald Trump? What's the best thing about Donald Trump that you love?
So now I'm a Trump supporter?
Are you not? Well, then tell me. I don't know. Who are you going to be voting for in November? Tell me. I'll ask.
What makes you think I'm a Trump supporter?
Okay.
I call you and tell you
Sure.
about
Okay.
facts?
So maybe I'm wrong.
Every
maybe I'm
Trump
wrong.
voter does
Jeff,
know their facts.
Jeff,
you are
Jeff.
right about that.
Okay. So Jeff,
you are correct on that.
Okay. So Jeff, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong to assume that you're a Trump supporter. I apologize for that. So now let me ask you the question: who do you plan on voting for in November?
That I'm not sure, but it won't be Biden. That's for damn sure.
So you're saying there's a chance you might not vote for either. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I'm sorry I characterized you as a Trump supporter. I was obviously wrong. What is your biggest criticism as far as Joe Biden is concerned? Like, if you had to name one thing and the reason why you're not voting for Joe Biden, what would that be?
I would say the whole country has gone to you know what in a handbasket.
Okay, how so? Be specific.
Nobody can afford anything.
What do you mean nobody can? I can afford things. Unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in 50 years. What do you mean? So nobody. Hold on a second. What are you laughing at, sir?
How many part-time jobs is in that?
I'll give you a stat. The unemployment rate is lower now than it was before COVID when Donald Trump was president.
Everybody's got to work 2 jobs.
I'm sorry if you don't like a fact, sir. Where are you getting that? How many of those jobs are second and third jobs? Where are you getting that stat from?
I'll send it on your
No.
email.
I didn't ask you to send it. I'm asking you specifically where you got that from.
I'm supposed to sit here with stuff right on my phone?
I got that directly from the jobs report that comes out on an annual basis. We have the lowest unemployment rate we've had in 50 years. Before COVID even started, the unemployment rate is lower now. You just said that's second and
So
third.
you're voting for Biden.
No.
Everybody
Don't
has
change.
to work 2 jobs.
Don't change the subject.
That's perfect.
Hold on. You just claimed that those
That's
are.
perfect.
Hold on. You just claimed that those were second jobs and third jobs. I asked you where you're getting that information from, and you can't source it from anywhere. Where are you getting that from?
Well, I'm not sitting on my ass like you.
No, I'm doing a
on the
radio show.
phone.
I'm doing a radio show, sir. But see, I'm sitting on my ass. But if you ask me where are you getting your information from, I would say from the annual jobs report. I ask you where you're getting your information from, and you can't cite it. You don't know where you're getting it from. So you lost that one. So give me another reason why you don't want to vote for Joe Biden. Go ahead. I'm waiting. Hello? Okay, I've had enough of Jeff. I think he's given up. I think he just waved the white flag. Hey, Jeff, I think you're a liar. I think you're a MAGA supporter. I think you're a liar. You can't spell the word fact. You didn't give me any real reasons why you're not voting for Joe Biden. I just gave you statistics. You think I'm lying. You don't think I know what I'm talking about. You call me an idiot, and you're not capable of having a conversation. Thank you for the call, Jeff. I'll tell you what. I'll wait for that email you're going to send me. I can't wait for that email that shows all the jobs are from people that are working second jobs and third jobs. I can't wait for your email, Jeff. I'm sure I'll get it. I'm waiting for it. I really can't wait. Thank you for the call. Make no mistake about it, folks. Jeff is going to be voting for Donald Trump. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Vivian. Vivian is next up on PTL. Hi, Vivian. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind, Vivian?
Okay, I admire the fact that you try to talk to someone who's a Trumper because of the fact that we need to talk to them.
Sure.
But as per usual, when they get on the microphone, they just spout all this stuff, and you don't even get a chance to fact check them, stop them for whatever. You have to wait till the interview is over before you can say this was a lie, that was a lie, that was a lie. And it's a shame because no one that was listening in real time turned into listen to the Trumper, and then they turned it off. They didn't hear what you said.
Exactly. Isn't it interesting when I give out the numbers put forth by the FBI, even the press secretary wants to poo-poo on the numbers put forth by the FBI and then can't source really anything for their opinion. And then I have this guy on the phone and I give out the unemployment numbers and he wants to poo-poo on the jobs report and then claims that these are all part-time jobs. That's why. And then I asked him, where are you getting that information from? And he didn't have an answer. So they want to, I try to come at them with facts and then they come back at me with nothing except insults. And I guess he didn't like the fact that I was sitting down in a chair while giving him facts. He said, you're sitting on your ass. That was a very weird thing to say, as opposed to radio hosts that stand up. I mean, I guess some of them do. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But, you know, I tried to give him a chance. I tried to be respectful. He's the one who insulted me. Yes, he did call me an idiot. But I still gave him a chance. But some of these people, they just don't have the brain intellect to have a conversation. What can I say? I tried.
I know you try all the time, Brian, and I respect the fact that you try. It's just that there's no getting through to some of these people. It's just pitiful that they are so brainwashed that you can't even have a decent conversation. And like you said, give them facts, come back at me with what your facts are, and there's all opinion. They're feeling, I feel like I'm not doing well. I feel like it's not a feeling. Either you making money, you paying your rent, and you paying your car, no, you paying your bills, or you're not.
Yeah, no, you're right. Listen, I try to, and thank you for the call, Vivian. You're absolutely right. Listen, if people are willing to come on this show, I'm not really talking about callers per se, but if the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump is willing to come on, then I am going to treat them with respect, even though almost everything Caroline Leavitt said I disagree with. I'm going to hear them out. We're going to have a conversation. And if she wants to come back on, she's welcome to come back on the show. Tomorrow on the show, quick programming note, this is a guy who's represented a lot of big Trumpers that are election deniers. This is what he does. His name is Woodrow Johnson. He's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. He even told one of his candidates who's running for office, who, by the way, just lost, to not do my show. I'm going to ask him about that. He said he owed me an apology because his Trumper who he represented lost. So he's going to be coming in studio tomorrow. 702-221-7283. Let's go to JD, who's next up on PTL. Hello, JD.
Thank you, Brian. In regard to the caller about the 40%, that's what I was going to call you on. it was reported weeks ago on CBS News. The big liberal cities like New York, Chicago, and and California have not reported their crimes to the FBI. It is not mandatory that they do so. So obviously, they have chosen not to indict themselves of their bad management in their cities, but at the same time, it would be derogatory to what Biden is saying and you're saying about crime being at its lowest level.
Okay, so Donald Trump just said we have the worst crime wave in American history. I'm wondering what facts he gets that from then. If you want to fact check, where does Donald Trump get the actual, if you're claiming that these Democrat-run cities and states are not releasing it, then how could Donald Trump say that we have the worst crime wave in American history? He said that yesterday on a stage in Milwaukee. Would you also say he's making a gross assumption without all the facts to back that up?
Well, obviously, I think if I didn't hear him say it, you said he
did
50%.
say that. Yes. Yep.
And I find that outrageous.
No, he didn't. He didn't say that. So here's where you're conflating the two. He said total inflation under Biden is up 40 to 50%. Then he said, then we have the worst crime wave in American history. He made a blatant statement like that. Would you agree with me that that is not factually accurate, and he's making a gross assumption then?
Well, I don't know. Neither do you. He obviously has a lot more information from
from where?
From different congressmen, different senators.
So if a congressman, all right, so let's go with that. If a congressman who's, I would imagine, be a MAGA Republican, goes up to him and say, boy, Mr. President, Mr. Former President, even though they're not reporting the crime rates, I just feel it. I feel like crime is rampant in these Democrat cities.
With all the crime rate,
you see
every day that the local people report in New York City and Chicago.
So because Fox News shows crime on their network, and a congressman might, we don't even know if this is true or not, might go up to Donald Trump and say, boy, the crime rate in these Democrat cities are terrible, even though they don't have...
We're debating a dead horse.
No.
Neither one of us could win.
Okay, so if neither one of us can win, then would you, I'm going to ask the question again. Will you agree with me that Donald Trump is making a gross assumption with no facts to back up a ridiculous opinion when he says the worst crime wave in American history?
Yes.
Okay, that was my only point that I was trying to make. I don't like crime. I don't like crime any more than you do. Okay, but that was the only point that I was trying to make.
And I came up a couple of weeks ago with a word that I never read before, and I think it was on George Will's column. And diminitus is the word, I believe, and I looked it up, and that definition is unbreakable. And I think that's what Trump is. He's unbreakable. No matter what they throw at him, you cannot break this man.
Well, I mean, I would respectfully disagree with you. He's a 34-count felon. He's a liable sexual abuser.
No.
He lost the election in 2020. I think he's very breakable and unhinged.
No witnesses. The judge wouldn't let a witness that was an expert on election fraud who worked in the election fraud department who wouldn't let him appear. If you have to defend, you have to rely on those 34 counts with that judge, with that attorney general, and that DA. Then that premise is not going to fly because all three of those people.
But the premise. But the premise in Delaware flies when it's a Democrat that's convicted, right? Only when it's a Republican.
Well, he should have never even went to trial. He should have made a plea deal. I mean, they had the evidence on his own.
I'm talking about Hunter Biden. But
I know that his own laptop indicted him. He was given bad advice by going to trial. He should have made a deal.
Okay, but he tried to make a deal, and then a deal was put in place, and then the prosecutor ripped up the deal, and he was sent to trial. They did put a deal together. Why do you think the prosecutor?
Yeah, well, the deal wanted to abstain him from all charges in the past and in the future, and wipe away his $1.4 million.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is maybe just don't break the law, whether it's Hunter Biden or Donald Trump. Maybe don't break the law. I mean, can we just agree on that? Regardless of what you think.
First of all, again, it was, from what I understand, it was a paperwork crime that has never been prosecuted in the history of our country.
That's not true. Falsified business documents are prosecuted in this country every day. That is absolutely 100% not true.
In this particular case of election fraud, not if it was a business.
Because in the history of this country, we hadn't had somebody falsify business records 2 weeks before an election. Donald Trump would be the first person that was even accused of doing something like that. So we can agree to disagree. If you don't like the outcome, that's totally fine. But what about the other three indictments? Would you say those are all Biden DOJ as well?
Well, let's take the documents.
Sure. Let's do that.
That he took to a secured location with
Mar-a-Lago is not a secured location. That is absolutely not true. He put those documents in a restroom, in a bathroom, and he showed them to people that did not have security clearance. So when you say it was secured, it was absolutely not, sir. It was on the crapper.
How about Biden showing his documents to the book writer?
I will absolutely answer that question, and I will answer that question by saying when he found out there were classified documents in his garage, he told his attorneys cooperated. Donald Trump defied a subpoena for a year. Maybe if Donald Trump didn't defy a subpoena and wasn't a dumbass and tried to hide evidence, which we're going to learn.
No. My question was, Biden showed those top secret documents to his biographer who wrote a book about him. That was a classified malaprop, right? That he shouldn't have done that, right?
So you are comparing Joe Biden allegedly showing classified documents to an individual that you...
No, it's not allegedly. The prosecutor in the case said that.
So here's my response to that.
The prosecutor, said that.
So here's my response. Hold on, let me just finish. Let me respond to what you just said. Donald Trump defied a subpoena for a year. The comparison or the attempt to compare Joe Biden with classified documents to Donald Trump, there is no comparison. He tried to hide evidence. He defied a subpoena for a year. And Jack Smith, who, by the way, is not a Democrat, a Republican who's prosecuted Democrats like John Edwards, knows that there is sufficient evidence that crimes were committed. Now, if you don't think Donald Trump did anything wrong or you want to compare the two, what about Joe Biden? You can do that, sir. But the bottom line is there's no comparison between the two. And I think most reasonable people would agree with that.
Okay. Now, in regard to Biden's documents,
yes.
First of all, Trump allowed them to come in the first time, and then they wanted to come back in again another time, and that was the cause for the hesitation. But Trump had every right as the president to have top secret documents.
No, he didn't. He had not the right. No, he didn't. You're
Biden,
wrong.
As a senator,
what you just said is wrong.
President had no right to those documents that he took.
What you just said about Donald Trump is totally factually inaccurate. He did not have the right to take classified documents out of the White House and bring them to Mar-a-Lago. What you are saying...
Every president has done that.
Every
Obama,
president...
Bush. Every president has taken them to their libraries.
Okay, there is a big difference between declassifying documents and bringing them to a library as opposed to Donald Trump having his interns without declassifying documents, because that's already been proven, taking boxes of classified documents and bringing them to Mar-a-Lago, compared to Barack Obama, who, by the way, didn't break any laws, declassified documents and brought them to a library. You are trying to conflate the two and compare the two. JD, it's a very false analogy what you are doing. I wish you would just say for once, geez, Donald Trump was really dumb. He shouldn't have defied a subpoena for a year. He made some mistakes. And while I think this might be politically motivated, he probably broke the law or at a very minimum did some very stupid things. Why can't I just hear you say that?
I agree. I'm sure the man has made mistakes. You talk about Biden's empathy. When is he going to show any empathy to his 5-year-old granddaughter that was born out of wedlock that he has disavowed for 4 years?
So you want to talk about Joe Biden, a granddaughter, and a personal issue with his family. You take issue with that type of behavior, but I haven't heard you talk about any of the behavior allegedly or being a liable sexual abuser, having 25 women accused him of sexual... Hold on, I'm not done yet. Hold on.
Years old
no,
with
not
no
true.
Witnesses.
Not true.
So
first of all, his ex-wife in court documents under deposition said that he raped her. Okay, that wasn't 25 or 30 years ago. That's number two.
You're talking about the sexual
if you want to talk about Joe Biden being a poor family man or this granddaughter situation, how do you think Donald Trump is as a family man, having unprotected sex with Stormy Daniels 2 weeks after Barron was born? Why is it that Melania Trump... Hold on.
He's a playboy.
Melania,
his entire life.
He's not a playboy. He's a sexual abuser, liably proven in court. Why is it that Melania Trump was just seen in New York City holding a $30,000 handbag, won't be seen anywhere in public with Donald Trump except a couple times a year because she's got a contractual obligation to do so? You want to compare the family people?
You make up so many stories.
What did I
about
just
his
make
wife
up?
Not
What did I just make up?
Not sleeping.
What did I
with
just
him,
make
not
up?
Doing you don't know any of that.
Yes, I do.
That's all Hollywood. That's
nope,
all Hollywood
wrong,
gossip.
wrong. It's not gossip when it's true. Melania Trump yesterday in multiple organizations up on social media and up on their websites, and you could look it up if you don't believe me. Melania Trump was seen yesterday holding a $32,000 handbag.
She doesn't sleep with Trump.
She doesn't.
You know that?
He's sick because he's 1,600 miles away campaigning right now, and she's in New York City walking around with her handbag. And Donald Trump in audio when he was with McDougal 20 years ago. McDougal, 20 years ago, she said he told her that he wasn't sleeping in the same bed as Melania. That's how I know that. Thank you for the call, JD. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Joseph, who's next on PTL. What's up, Joseph?
Yeah, hey, Brian. First, I'd like to say about JD and Jeff right now, it's exactly what I say. Those two are the prime example of a Trump University students who failed and got their bachelor degrees or diplomas for failing. And they think that the A plus grade is for ASS.
Yeah,
And
it's a little mind-boggling that a guy like JD, who's obviously a big MAGA supporter, wants to talk about Joe Biden, the family man, and how, he's got this granddaughter that, he hasn't spoken to that's 5 years old. So he wants to make out that Joe Biden's a bad family man. Yet when it comes to Donald Trump, could you find anybody on the planet that's a worse family person than Donald Trump? But he doesn't want to talk about any of that stuff. He wants to talk about Joe Biden. I find it so pathetic.
And speaking of Joe Biden, at least he's a good family man. He doesn't make any mistakes that Trump did.
Yeah.
As for the debate, I always wanted to see Joe Biden put Trump to shame as well. I want him to label Trump for everything he's done, being a 34-count convicted felon. All he wants to do is put separating children from their parents, and he's trying to traumatize the children by fearing the government.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did, kind of like that episode of South Park.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that episode, actually, that you're talking about, Joe. Hey, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate the call.
You got it.
Thank you, Joseph. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of our conversation. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's going on, Mark?
How are you, Brian?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, man?
Have you been listening to that wonderful podcast with Ben Meiselas?
I have not. I don't really listen to podcasts. I'll be honest with you. I really don't.
Well, it's you have the gentleman on sometimes on the show.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. I don't recall, but maybe you could refresh my memory.
It's MTN, Midas Touch Network.
Oh, okay. The Midas Touch Network. I am a big fan of what they do over there. I think Ron Filipowski is phenomenal. I think they do a great job over there. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, so I'm so busy doing my own thing, but they do a wonderful job.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Have you heard the latest gaffe from Donald Trump?
I mean, there were quite a few yesterday.
No one is covering it. It's amazing that he doesn't remember Joe Biden's name. In a speech,
I heard it. Yeah.
Joe Bride.
Joe Bride. Keith Olbermann talked about that on social media. So this is a guy just in the last few weeks, right? Right, Mark? He forgot who his doctor's name is. By the way, the same doctor, Mr. Jackson, who
Ronnie Johnson.
Right. Yeah. He forgot his name, and he's been campaigning with him and traveling with him. His lone opponent, for the most part, in the election, in Joe Biden, he bumbles his name. He talks about sharks again in water yesterday in Wisconsin. But the right-wing media doesn't want to cover any of this. They want to cover Joe Biden turning around and taking two steps, talking to a parachuter, or they want to talk about how Barack Obama put his arm around Joe Biden. So that means he was guiding Joe Biden off the stage and he must have Alzheimer's. You can't make this stuff up, Mark.
And what's remarkable is the worst thing they ever got on Obama was that he wore a tan suit.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they couldn't stop screaming about it.
Yeah.
But here is Trump, who sleeps with every woman he can sleep with, who cheated on every wife he can cheat with,
yeah.
who spends election campaign funds paying off porn stars.
Yep.
And he talks to whatever group he's with. He tells them what they want to hear. Like,
but
I want that grill sometimes.
Yeah,
Can you believe if Joe Biden ever got on stage with a black man and stated, I want to wear one of them grills too?
Yeah.
What would the right-wing media say about that?
Oh, I could imagine what they would say. But hey, let's just call it a white boy summer, because I guess that should be the new slogan for the Republican Party, a white boy summer. Mark,
Right. One more thing.
Yep.
And to all you MAGA maggots,
yeah,
you are you're in a cult that is either you are a white supremacist, you're uneducated, or you're racist, or you just want more money in tax benefits. Those are the only things that you are.
Sadly, I would say that's a lot of people among Donald Trump's base. I'm certainly not going to disagree with you on that, Mark, and I do appreciate the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Who should we go to next here? Let's go to James. James is next on PTL. Hello, James.
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
What's up, James? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Hey, I want to say JD was right. Trump has executive privilege. So he had every right to have those documents.
So so you're saying he had the right to take those documents from the White House and then bring them to Mar-a-Lago and put them in a restroom where people without security clearance were frequently using? You're saying he had the right to do that? I'm confused.
Now that you're giving a whole lot of context, but neither one of us know.
No, we do actually. No, we do, because that was put forth in the indictment. With all due respect, the indictment, the Jack Smith indictment, which I read. I don't know if you read. He took.
Jack.
Yeah, many of. Well, you don't like Jack Smith?
The Democratic failure.
Jack Smith is okay. So Jack Smith is not a Democrat. He's a Republican. Were you aware of that? Are you also aware that Jack Smith prosecuted Democrats like John Edwards, who ran for president? Are you aware of that, or I'm just trying to understand?
Prosecuted.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, so hold on. So you don't believe Jack Smith. You just called him a Democrat, which he's not. He's a registered Republican who's prosecuted plenty of Democrats. So you don't believe Jack? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what he identifies as.
Okay, so you don't care what the evidence is, and you don't care what's in the indictment. Is that what you're saying?
About evidence. No,
it's not evidence. So you're saying Jack Smith didn't. You're saying there's no evidence. There's no. So I just want to get you right. You're saying there's no credible evidence. Jack Smith is a Democrat. Okay, so what are you saying? Tell me.
Well, I'm saying Jack Smith is clearly Team Democrat. Didn't his wife do a biography or whatever for Obama?
Okay, so first of all, Jack Smith isn't his wife. We're talking about Jack Smith. Jack Smith.
No, I'm asking the question.
I have no idea. I have no idea who Jack Smith's wife is, and quite clearly, sir, that's irrelevant to the conversation. Just because his wife might have written a book about Barack Obama, for you to assume that all these charges are fake and Jack Smith is on the Democrat side, when Jack Smith has actually, are you aware that Jack Smith has prosecuted Democrats like John Edwards? Are you aware of that, or did you not know that, sir?
You're not. Okay, I'm sure he has.
Okay, you're sure he has. Now let's ask something else. Let me ask you something else. Are you claiming on a national radio show right now with a national audience that you're okay with, and there's nothing wrong with, and it's not against the law, for classified documents when someone is no longer in office, taken out of the White House, put in a car by members of his staff, and many of which are stored on a stage at Mar-a-Lago and in a bathroom? Are you saying not only there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not illegal, as I bring you back on? You're okay with that, sir?
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, I would love for this to go on record. In the event of what we now know has been proven to be a fraudulent election.
Okay, what I just asked you, sir, I need you to focus. My question was not about the election. Quite frankly, sir, I could care less what your opinions are on the election. I'm going to ask my question again, Jeff. Or I'm sorry, I forgot this gentleman's name for a moment. James, with all due respect, my question was not about the election. So I want to, you said you're happy I asked the question, but you didn't answer it. Has nothing to do with the election. I'm going to ask it again. Are you okay with any president? Hold on, listen, because you didn't answer. Are you okay with any president taking classified documents after he leaves office out of the White House, according to the indictment and the evidence, and there's pictures, by the way, bringing them into Mar-a-Lago, putting them on a stage where the public can see at any time, putting them in a public restroom at Mar-a-Lago. Are you okay with that? And that has nothing to do with the election. Go ahead.
Listen, all right, let me answer. You going to let me answer?
You didn't answer it the first time. I'm giving you another opportunity. Go.
Okay, well, please don't interrupt me if you could at least give me that respect.
If you can answer it, I will gladly do that, sir. Go ahead.
Doing that, yes, absolutely. I do not have a problem with President
Thank
Trump
you.
taking
Thank you.
these documents.
Thank you for
in
being.
a secure
Thank you.
location.
Thank you.
And
But, okay, I got to let you go because if you're calling a bathroom at Mar-a-Lago a secure location, sir, we can't continue the conversation. What are we doing here? You're calling a public restroom at Mar-a-Lago a secure location? Are you friggin' insane? 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Hey, I got to go take a crap. Is there a secure location in the restroom here, Numchuck, where I can put some classified documents in? It's very secure. It's very secure. By the way, that's what I think about that guy's opinion. The last bathroom trip I took. Apparently, according to him, it's a very secure location to use a public restroom and put classified documents in there. Oh, my God. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next here? Let's see. Why don't we go to Sean? Sean is next up on PTL. Sean, thank you for calling into the PTL radio show. What's on your mind, Sean?
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Brian? Hey, I'm a big Biden fan. I live in Pennsylvania. And my question is, I don't know what's the matter with these Trumpers, but every time you ask them, and I've got quite a few friends that voted for Donald Trump back in 2000, which I think was the worst decision in the history of their minds. Mm-hmm. But every time I ask them a question, what did Donald Trump do to make America great again? And all they put up is emoji signs. That's all they can do. And then the other thing is, why isn't anybody of these Trumpers, when you tell them, hey, what about his son-in-law, Kushner, that went over to Saudi Arabia and brought back $2 billion to Donald Trump?
Correct.
Oh, that's all fake news.
You know what they want to talk about, Sean? They want to talk about Burisma and Hunter Biden receiving $50,000 a month from Burisma, but they don't want to talk about Jared Kushner and the fact that Donald Trump didn't send Mike Pompeo out to Saudi Arabia. By the way, another guy that won't support Donald Trump in 2024. They don't want to. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the fact that he sent Jared Kushner over there, this moron. And you're absolutely right, $2.1 billion. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Hunter Biden, Burisma, and make no mistake about it, the only gun that Republicans care about is the unloaded gun that Hunter Biden had when he was doing drugs. That's the only gun they care about.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we got people out there with the assault rifles and AR-15s and stuff. And the reason the Republicans don't want to pass a bill against this, like the Democrats do, is because whatever they're called, the American Gun Association, where they give billions of dollars to the Republicans.
Ding, ding, ding. You're absolutely right. Let me ask you a question now. All these Republicans out there and their ads, their campaign ads, bragging about their A-plus rating from the NRA. Have you ever heard of a Democrat running for office that bragged about their A-plus rating from the NRA? Why is it only Republicans?
No, I've never heard the Democrats ever say that. And yes, it's all you do.
You know why? Say that. You know why? Because they care about public safety and they put that over some stupid rating from the NRA. I hope I'll vote for a politician that gets an F- rating from the NRA. These Marco Rubios and these Ted Cruzes and Donald Trump, by the way, this bump stock thing that just happened, all they care about is their endorsement and A+ rating from the NRA because they care more about remaining in power rather than public safety, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and then with the thing with the border, like I told my friends, hey, did you watch Joe Biden 3 months ago when he was doing a State of Union and he looked right at the Republicans and when they said about passing the bill and then Donald the orange clown goofball opened his mouth up and told the Republicans, oh, don't vote on that, and then all of a sudden Mr. Biden looks at him and says, oh, you guys didn't want to pass that?
Yeah,
that
was my favorite moment, by the way, in his State of the Union address. Great call, my man. I appreciate your call. Call back anytime. Great points. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks. Have a good one.
Appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Victor. Victor is next up on PTL. Hello, Victor.
Brian, how you doing? Nice talking to you again. Thanks for the opportunity, buddy.
Sure, of
buddy.
course.
I listened to that conversation with that lady.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Oh my Lord. She must have been wearing shoes. What is it called? Golden shoes.
Sneakers.
And
Yeah, the
and
Trump,
sneakers,
the Trump,
and she probably has,
the Trump golden
she probably
sneakers.
have the Bible too.
Well,
unbelievable.
Yeah, you're
She
right.
is just-
So her
all
job,
all the agents of an intelligence lie, except Russia or Putin.
Yeah.
When you say that, you are the enemy of our country. You are the buffoon. You are the stupid and the threat to our democracy. And why don't you, if you care about so much about violence, why you focus on that one illegal undocumented person?
Yeah.
When every goddamn day we have people getting onto our schools and gutting children's lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? In that conversation, she called him the law and order president. You can't make this stuff up. The law and order president is a 34-count convicted felon. I mean, I kind of
pedophile.
Yeah,
pedophile.
I kind of laugh at that nonsense. By the way, speaking of which, Donald Trump was on the Jeffrey Epstein list, on that flight list, 7 times. I'll tell you somebody who's never been on that list once: Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Yeah, I never see Joe Biden. Not even Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
And then you have they have the nerve to debunk every single agent that talking about inflation, talking about gas prices. We still exporting. We're still the largest exporter when it comes to oil.
Listen, this is what you are talking about right now. And by the way, thank you so much for the call. You made some great points. This is exactly what Joe Biden, I want him to talk about on a debate stage a week from tomorrow, sir. Excellent points. You're absolutely right. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Sean. I believe Sean is next up on PTL, if I'm not mistaken. Hi, Sean. Thanks for calling into PTL. What's on your mind, my man? Sean, are you there? Okay, let's go to Kava. Sean, sit tight. We've got some phone issues there. Let's go to Kava. What's up, Kava? Kava, are you there? I think we lost Kava as well. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Kava. Go right ahead.
Yeah, sorry. For some reason, my phone is being weird. I wanted to respond to Caroline Leavitt's comments toward Ecuador and her statement that she made. I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't appreciate it as someone from Ecuador. I don't appreciate her comments. I don't appreciate her attack on that country, and because it's where I was born and raised.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to say, if she could please provide me any evidence to back up her claim, because I don't know if it's true or not.
But Kava, let me
interject.
Let me interject here real quickly. She didn't provide any evidence of anything. She claimed that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. She claims that Donald Trump probably won Wisconsin in 2020 because she claims there was all this election fraud everywhere where there wasn't. She claims that the crime wave in American history is the worst, which is what Donald Trump said yesterday, but she doesn't want to go by the FBI. She wants to go by other entities that have zero credibility. So to answer your question, she's not going to provide it. She won't. I'll just save you the time.
Because that's his basis for Ecuador to take her to the UN and file claims against her for such ridiculous accusations.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of ridiculous accusations. You're right, Kava, in that phone call. But that's what these Trump surrogates will do. And to be quite frank with you, that's why I don't have them on a lot, because all they do is spew the same type of nonsense that Donald Trump will spew on a stage in Las Vegas or on a stage in Milwaukee like he did yesterday. It's a bunch of utter nonsense. Trump did not win Wisconsin, and he did not win the 2020 election. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that believe this absolute buffoonery and nonsense. Thank you for the call, Kava. Good to hear from you. 702-221-7283. That's why I say this is the most listened to, certainly show in the Valley, talk show. And we have a very diverse crowd, all sorts of different people from all over the country. And I'm very humbled, and I appreciate that. And we're going to continue to take phone calls, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Donna. Hi, Donna. Thanks for calling in. And I keep forgetting to ask people, Donna, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Saskatchewan in Canada.
Oh, I love that. What's going on there, eh? That's my horrible Canadian accent. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm really concerned about my neighbors to the south. This is scary. This isn't live. He's not a radio or TV personality. Like, he should be presidential. And he spews things about economies, which he's apparently can bankrupt casinos. So I don't really believe he's good for the economy. And I watch what Biden's done for the economy, and he's not getting the credit that he deserves on it.
I agree with you, and you make a very good point there, because he's going to have to do that and speak to his record, which I believe he can run on in this debate next week. So I agree with you. When we look at Donald Trump and the economy, look at the economy that Donald Trump took over after Barack Obama took office. It is the opposite of the economy that Joe Biden took over during a global pandemic when people were struggling to get by.
Oh, I agree.
And yet, but Republicans forget about that. They want to say, oh, this war wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump was president. All Trump has to do is pick up the phone and the war in the Ukraine's over. Last I checked, we had a global pandemic where millions of people died in this country under Donald Trump's watch. Do I blame Donald Trump for COVID? No. I blame him for his reaction, the COVID press conferences.
Responses.
Yeah, the response was awful.
He was such a politician, he couldn't even believe the people that were epidemiologists that should deserve believing on these things, not politics.
Yeah, I mean, they still go
don't
after.
even get me started on that.
Oh, I know. They still go after Dr. Fauci like you wouldn't believe. It's reprehensible, by the way. And Donald Trump, people seem to forget that he took those coronavirus press conferences and he turned them into campaign rallies. And according to Dr. Fauci, who just did an interview yesterday about this, he bragged about the ratings he was getting during a global pandemic during his press conferences. Is there any normal human being that would do that? He turned them into press conferences about
in front of the Queen. Yeah. I have no, that's how the hell do you walk in front of the Queen?
Well, you know what? The same type of guy that's had multiple kids with multiple ex-wives, that has unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after his child was born.
Can I ask you questions?
Sure, go right ahead.
I really want some questions.
Yes.
Okay, so this all looks he's divided the country more than you've ever seen before. I'm looking at that.
Agreed.
I'm looking at this gun violence. And when I think of gun violence, I think of Ireland. They had one shooting. They never made that mistake again.
Right.
So there's one thing, his laws. But my questions, the kids that Trump separated from their parents, I heard that there's still some of that going on. Now, you don't hear anything about that. That is a truly narcissistic thing to do.
Because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about
but
when he calls
how come
these.
Nobody else cares. There should be outrage over this. Why are we bloody complacent?
I do. And Biden just passed a bill, and that's going to help not allow that to happen. But I will say this. When you call these people animals, which is the type of verbiage that Donald Trump uses, these Mexicans, they're rapists and they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. When you call these people animals, and when you hear the slogan, Make America Great Again, it's Make America White Again, White Boy Summer. This is the base of Donald Trump. That is the base. And that is what these people are afraid of. They want the country to continue to look like them, which is white. Well, guess what? I don't care that there are brown
white,
people here.
And I'm married to a brown guy. So where does that leave me? My family's my family. It doesn't matter what color people are. We all bleed the same.
That's the way
and
normal.
America's going to make a
That's the way a
horrible
normal
mistake if they're not paying attention on this.
I agree. And that's the way, and thank you, by the way, for the phone call. You sound like a lovely lady, and I appreciate you calling. That's the way a normal, decent human being thinks. They don't look at people by skin color. They don't care where they came from. Do you remember when Donald Trump said, go back to your S-hole countries? S-hole countries is what he called them. Go back to your country. That is what a racist would say. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jerry. Jerry, thanks for calling in. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Iowa.
Oh, thank you for calling from Iowa, Jerry. How are you doing today? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm one of these, even with the gun part, I don't want them taking guns and stuff away. But it's all lies when they say the Democrats are wanting to do it. All they want is reasonable control.
And you are so correct. When Republicans say that Democrats want to take all your guns away, you couldn't name one politician that's a Democrat that is implemented that in policy or has said that on the record. It is a lie. They are lying to you.
I mean, I had guns as a kid, hunting and stuff. I worked where they sold guns, and I've seen some of these parents start the kids on the AR-15s and that young, saying, well, because it fit them. There's no reason for them to have that. Start them with a regular rifle for hunting in there. That's fine.
Well, I got to tell you something. Joe Biden needs to talk about what you're talking about a week from tomorrow in the debate. He needs to talk more.
I don't think that debate's going to go on. Trump isn't gonna.
You don't think? You don't think so?
I think he's going to find an excuse.
I don't think that's
to get
going.
out of it.
You might be right. I would tend to disagree with you because they both already agreed to it, and it would make Donald Trump look really cowardly if he doesn't show up. So I would hope to think that doesn't happen. It would certainly benefit Joe Biden if Trump backs out of it. But, you know, all Joe Biden needs to do is just prove that he's still competent for the job. I think he'll do just fine. And it's good to hear from you. And I appreciate your call, Jerry. Thank you so much. Out there in Iowa, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. You know, I don't think I've ever been to Iowa before. I got to get out there. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Lanny. Lanny's next on PTL. Hi, Lanny. Where are you calling from?
702. Calling from McCook, Nebraska.
You're calling from Nebraska. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm glad people are listening in Nebraska. Lanny, I don't know what there is to do out there. What's there to do in Nebraska?
Oh, let's see. I'm 74 years old and I got retired, so I don't get out much and know what's going on.
Well, that's okay.
Much.
That's okay. I hope if I make it to 75, God bless you. I probably won't be going out too much either. So, you know, I understand that. No problem. So what's on your
surprised than I am?
Well, Lanny, I'm glad you called the show. What's on your mind today?
Well, I want to know how do you fight somebody that tells nothing but lies?
Good question, Lanny. This is the best way I can answer it, and I try to do it every day. Destroy them with facts, right? Call them out on their BS and destroy them with facts. And then if they still come at you, move on. Move on, because you're not going to get anywhere with some of these people. When you have somebody that says Trump won the 2020 election and you say, no, sir, no, ma'am, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. And then they want to talk about 2,000 mules or they want to talk about ballot stuffing or whatever. You can't have a conversation with somebody like that. The bottom line is these are brainwashed people and these are cultists, and there's nothing you can do about it, Lanny, unfortunately.
Well, do you think Steve Bannon is going into jail?
I do.
July 1st.
I do. Boy, he's looking really great these days, isn't he, Lanny? I bet you're in a lot better shape than he's in. He's not looking too good.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
All he wants to do is kill.
Well, listen,
do you listen to that guy?
Absolutely. And listen, I've had Roger Stone on this show before, another idiotic political operative. And, you know, I destroyed him with facts. He doesn't want to come back on. This is the same guy. These are people who are right-wing buffoon operatives. Nothing they say out of their mouth is credible. And they're despicable human beings. They don't care about the American people. They just care about raising their brand, no better than a Candace Owens or a Larry Elder. These are just bad people. These are not good people. Some of these people are not stupid, but they're just bad people. You can't take any bit of credibility with anything they say, you know, and that's the bottom line.
Well, you know, when you get my age, the second thing to go is your memory.
Well, I understand that, but you sound like a sharp guy. And I got to tell you this, your voice matters. People like you matter. And I am hopeful that you will be going to the voter booth in November and you will be voting for democracy. Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, I'm voting for Joe Biden.
Absolutely. You're voting for democracy. And
there's no doubt in my mind that Joe, I just hope, I know Joe's a little senile.
Sure,
because
he's old.
He's older than I am, and I'm a little senile. But I'm just saying, the man has got the experience.
Sure.
And he's got all the help in the world around him.
And he's a decent man. He's a decent man, and you sound like a decent man. Let me make no mistake about this. And by the way, it's so great to hear from you and out there in Nebraska tuning in. And I hope you call back, Lanny. You sound like a great guy. Make no mistake about it. You don't sound senile, by the way. It's people like you, Lanny, are the reason why Joe Biden's going to win in November. I could be wrong. Too many good people out there in this country like you, Lanny. And you sound just fine, Lanny. I'll take you over some of these MAGA callers to have a beer with any day of the week. 702-221-7283. Why don't we go to Liz next? Hi, Liz. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Idaho.
Idaho. All right. Out there in Idaho. What you got for me today, Liz? Thanks for listening. What's on your mind?
I'm just curious. I believe that I heard one of the victims of Epstein say that she was groomed at Mar-a-Lago. And
Yes,
I'm
that's true.
just wondering why that hasn't been brought up more by the Democrats against Trump.
It's a good question. And I know a little bit about this story. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about it. But I will say this. Donald Trump constantly seen hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. He's seen in pictures with him 7 times in the Maxwell trial. Over 7 times Trump was on that list, that flight list. So we know that he was hanging out with Epstein. We know that this is who he associated. Should we be surprised, though? Right? Should we be surprised, Liz? These are the types of people that Donald Trump has surrounded himself with his entire life. Pedophiles, womanizers, just bad people, criminals, felons. These are the types of people that have surrounded themselves with Donald Trump. And these are the same types of people that continue to surround themselves with Donald Trump.
Yeah, it just shocks me that any American with a brain can't put all of that together.
Well, you just said it.
And figure it out.
You just said it. There are a lot of Americans.
It's absolutely shocking.
You know, these Americans without a brain, Liz, these are the same people that are saying Joe Biden's a pedophile, he sniffs kids, but yet they don't want to talk about the fact that Donald Trump was hanging out on Epstein Island and he was on that flight list 7 times. Liz, they don't have a brain. They don't have a brain.
I just wish maybe the Democrats would, like, I haven't seen anything that really pushes that narrative that they were groomed at Mar-a-Lago, and I wish they would use that. That's what
I don't disagree.
You know, I'm surrounded by red in Idaho, and it gets a little crazy. And I just wish that they would push more of that. And
do you have any neighbors that are like that? Do you have any neighbors or people out there that have their Confederate flag next to their Trump flag out there?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, what a bunch of scumbags! Tell them to call into this show. Boy, I'd love to have a conversation with them. What a bunch of scumbags!
Well, my daughter is biracial and lives in Central Oregon. And she's one of the only black people in her town. And they actually circle her house with their ARs and their flags.
God, that is awful.
Yeah, and
I'm
she's
so
had to
sorry
go into hiding.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that your poor daughter has to go through that. Let me tell you something, Liz. When I went out there to this Trump rally in Vegas a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you saw any of my videos on social media. It's why I did an interview on Newsmax and I called it a Klan cult. That's what this is. This is a Klan cult. Do I think every Trump supporter is racist? No. But I guarantee you those people that are circling your daughter's house because she's black are all Trump supporters. Maybe we can put the dots together. I'm so sorry your daughter's having to go through that. I'm so happy that you called in. Please continue to call in and keep the fight up, Liz. It's nice to hear from you. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.
Take care. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Gosh, I'm so sorry her daughter has to go through that. That is brutal. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Sandy, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Sandy. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Hickory, North Carolina.
North Carolina. You a Tar Heels fan? That's what I need to know.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. So's Barack Obama. Well, thanks for calling out there in North Carolina. What's on your mind? Go ahead, Sandy. Did we lose you? Go ahead.
No, I'm here. JD really made me mad. He made me so mad. He's ignorant.
You talking about
And
Trump?
I don't like. Yeah.
Yeah. What did he say? I mean, there's a lot of things he said, right, Sandy? But what triggered you that he said?
That Trump's wanting to make America great again.
Yeah.
Trump does not.
What a stupid slogan. Hey, what does that slogan mean to you?
That doesn't mean really much to me because it's stupid. Because America is already great.
Yeah.
And our president is great.
Mm-hmm.
He's brought a lot of jobs to North Carolina.
Sure he has.
If you really want to work, come to North Carolina and you'll find a job.
Mm-hmm. I believe you.
I don't like it because Trump talks bad about black people, and there's still going some of them going to vote for him. And I don't know why. I tried to talk to my friend.
I think, you know what, can I make an analogy to what you're saying? You're referring to some of the black people, and there's not going to be many of them that are voting for Trump, right? Maybe 15% or so. It's the same frustration I have with our brave men and women in uniform who are heroes, who, by the way, he called suckers and losers. And there are some brave men and women out there that have served that are going to be supporting Trump. I feel the same about them. I just don't get it. It's confusing to me.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Well, here's what I do get, okay? There are too many people out there like you that are smart, nice, educated people. You happen to be in North Carolina. Very friendly people out there. You're going to be voting for Joe Biden. We just had somebody, who just called in from Idaho. We had somebody who just called in from, I'm trying to remember all this because so many people call in from all parts of the country. And there's too many people out there like you that are going to be making, in my estimation, the right decision in November. And that's why MAGA is going to be done. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is hope, right?
That's all I can do and pray.
Well, I tell you what, when I get there in North Carolina, I want to go out for some barbecue with you. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in. You, dear, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and it's great to hear from you. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Mohammed is calling in. Mohammed, where are you calling from today?
Hello, Brian. Gaza. My question, why does Biden hate Gaza?
So here would be my response to that. Why would you, I guess it's a question. Why would you say Joe Biden hates Gaza? Like, why would
he gives the Jews guns, bombs. He hates Gaza.
Okay, so why did he give and by the way, I would refer to Israeli people. Why would he give people in Israel guns? Why did he do that, Mohammed? Why do you think he did that? You think he did that because he hates Gaza? Or do you think maybe he might have done that because he wants Hamas to be destroyed? What do you think?
Why not destroy Israel? Why Gaza?
Why not destroy Israel? Why Gaza? So, sir, are you anti-Semitic? I have to ask you. Why would you want to destroy Israel?
I don't want to destroy anyone, but why Gaza? Why destroy Gaza?
Because, well, first of all,
destroy the Russian. Give more bombs to Ukraine. Destroy Russia. Leave Gaza alone.
Okay.
Why Gaza?
So what should we do when Israel's 9/11 happens? Should Joe Biden just say, I'm going to listen to Mohammed who calls into PTL and let's just give all the weapons to Ukraine and let's ignore Israel? Is that what you would do if you were the president, Mohammed?
What 9/11? What do you mean? What's 9/11 have to do with anything?
First of all, Israel's 9/11. You do understand that there were a number of innocent people that were killed. So that's why
it was October. It happened in October.
Okay.
What's 9/11?
Okay, so are you not smart enough to understand the analogy that I'm trying to make? That our 9/11, we lost over 4,000 people. It was the biggest terrorist attack in American history. Israel was the biggest terrorist attack in Israel's history. That's why I'm making that correlation.
Terrible. But why Gaza? Why destroy Gaza?
I think
Hamas is not Gaza.
Okay, Hamas is in Gaza. They've infiltrated themselves among the innocent
Egypt.
people.
They live in Egypt.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true. Do you think they all live in one of the? Do you think they all live in one of the pyramids? Serious question.
They go through the tunnels to Egypt. They all in Egypt, and Biden is destroying Gaza.
Well, I got to tell you something. You must have all the national security clearances, and you must know where Hamas is. Where are you getting this information from? Do you have insides into the into where Hamas is? I mean, they're all in tunnels. Is that what you're claiming?
You're not funny. You think you're funny. You're not funny.
No, I'm not.
Why is he destroying Gaza?
I'm not funny any more than your fake accent is any more funny, Mohammed. But thank you for calling into the show. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that was Mohammed's real name. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Who are we going to do next here? Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason. Where are you calling from? Hi, Jason. Are you there?
I guess, first of all, I want to say, yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead,
I want
Jason.
to say to all the Israeli people out there, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you're all going to stand strong for your 9/11 and you will overcome it. More than anything, I want to say happy Juneteenth to my people.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, because
absolutely.
Joe Biden signed that into law.
Sure.
And we get to celebrate that.
Absolutely.
And more than anything, I want to really come to you and say, how come nobody ever really says what Trump said with his own words? When he said, when he owned the teen pageant, said, I like to go in to the teen locker room and look at the girls that are undressed. He said that in his own words. It's on tape, and nobody ever plays that. Number two, people always saying his economy.
Hold on, Jason, I got to stop you. I got to stop you real quickly. And not to pat myself on the back here, Jason. I hear where you're going with this. I played it. I played it on my show about 6 months ago. He appeared on the Howard Stern show, and I played that tape, and you are absolutely right. He was bragging about going into teen locker rooms, looking at some of these, teen models half naked, and he was bragging to Howard Stern about, yeah, they let me do it. You know, I just go in there. I'm running the whole pageant. You're absolutely right. I can tell you I played it. I can't speak for anybody else, but you're absolutely right.
Then I want to talk about how everybody always brings up Trump economy, all these MAGA coming up with the Trump economy. Do they realize that 1 million people died during Trump economy? I'm going to stand on my father-in-law, one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life, in Vegas, died because of COVID. And Trump could have stopped COVID, but he let all those people that from China to come in America and spread the virus.
Well, let me say I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for your loss. I also will share with you, I almost died of COVID. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. I'm sorry for the loss of your family member. It's horrible. Such a terrible virus. And yes, I think Donald Trump's response to it was a 0 on a scale of 1 to 10. It was awful.
And then he comes up with saying, put bleach in your body.
Right.
I mean, how intelligent is our president to stand somewhere and say,
idiotic.
Hey, can we do disinfectant? Maybe put bleach in your body?
And then he said he was joking the next day. That was his excuse. Oh, I was just joking. I mean, people believe it too.
And the last but not least, somebody got to take care of Steve Bannon. For him to say victory or death, is he trying to create another civil war? Because if he is, I'll just say to anybody that's listening, stay woke. 1861, because that is the day Fort Sumter. And I'll never forget it, because guess what? We will not lay down this time. There will not be a MAGA taking control again. You want to make America great again? Take care of MAGA.
Well, that's what I try to do on this show every day in a metaphorical sense, and I really do appreciate your call. And again, I'm sorry for the loss of your family member. That's horrible. I'm sad to hear that. I try to set it straight on this show, and great call, my man. I certainly don't condone any type of violence. I certainly don't condone any of that, but I do understand your frustration, and we certainly don't want another January 6th, that's for sure. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Joe. Hi, Joe. Where are you calling from? Joe, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Joe. Where are you calling from?
Do we have time or no?
Yeah, go right ahead. Where are you calling from, Joe?
Florida.
Where? Oh, Florida. Okay.
Florida.
Ron DeSantis country. How about that? What's up, Joe? What's on your mind?
If he didn't observe today Juneteenth.
Ron DeSantis, what did you think about him in those white boots? Did you think that was a sexy look for him?
Oh, it's terrible.
It is terrible. What you got for me, Joe? What's on your mind, my man?
Yeah, okay. My mind is that when Einstein died, it was a really... It wasn't clear what happened. It was under Trump's watch, and also the guy that was at Justice Department was under him, and it was a federal. I believe it was federal prison too.
Right.
So there was something weird that happened there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that
the
other thing is that some people here in Florida were saying, this misinformation that all government offices are closed. That's not true, because Ron DeSantis didn't observe Juneteenth, and there are some counties that are red counties that didn't give the day off to...
Isn't that interesting? I'm so glad you brought that up. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Joe Biden implemented Juneteenth as a national holiday. Donald Trump would never do that, number one. Number two, why is it all those on the right that want to erase history? Why is it all those on the right that never want to talk about slavery? Why is it all those on the right that want to ban books? Why is it all those on the right that want to talk about these sorts of things? And I can't seem to understand it. It seems like everybody on the left is on board with Juneteenth and being a national holiday. Why is it that those on the right, like the Ron DeSantis of the world, don't want to call this a national holiday? Why is that, Joe?
Because they are racist. They all follow in the races. Yeah. Everybody knows the racist, and there's some black supporting this guy, but they all completely they have no dignity.
You're right, Joe. And let me tell you something. And thank you, by the way, for calling out there in Florida. I pity. You know, my friend Ron Filipowski just moved. He just left Florida. He got out of there. I think he moved to Maine. Joe, I feel for you, my man. There are a lot of really good people in Florida. Ron DeSantis is a moron. Okay, I respect his service, but he's a moron. Let's go to Jose. Jose is calling up next on PTL. Hi, Jose. Where are you calling from?
Okay.
Sorry, Jose. Where are you calling from, buddy? Did we lose Jose? I think we just had Jose, and then we just lost Jose. That's all right. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Jose, you can call back. Is he on? I don't know. All right, that's okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break because I went really long this segment. Because as I try to do on this show every day, I try to take as many calls as I can. I know we got more people on hold. The phones are buzzing, which is what they do on this show every single day, while others in the Valley here that do political talk shows beg for the same 3 callers to call in every single show. And you'll hear them on every break say, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. What that means is I'm begging for calls. Please, my normal 3 listeners, please call in. We take calls from Florida. We take calls from Canada today. We've taken calls from Idaho, Mississippi, Nebraska, all over the country. Guess what? That's the way I like it. Doesn't matter whether you're a MAGA supporter or not. I'll hear you out. We take calls from Jeff too. We do take calls from people like Jeff. Very special. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will take a few more phone calls. And I do have some audio to play for you from Donald Trump's Liathon Clan Cult rally in Milwaukee yesterday. We'll be back here in a few. Stay tuned. Sit tight. We got more people on hold. The phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. Actually, I think we have one phone line open. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the 2 of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Man, I love the fact it feels like we've taken a gazillion calls today from all over the country, and that's the way I like it. I like hearing different perspectives from people all over the place, even people that disagree. I think anybody that's listened to this show knows I'm happy to engage people that disagree with me, so long as it's a respectful conversation. Quick programming note for you. A guy that represents a lot of election deniers in office, Woodrow Johnson. It's what he does for a living. We made a bet that one of his MAGA candidates would lose, and that if his candidate did lose, he would come in on the show and apologize. But we're going to be talking about that and a lot of other things, but he does owe me an apology. Woodrow Johnson's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. Please check out my new website. It's very new. I'll take constructive criticism, but it's pushingthelimits.live. If you like what I do and support what I do, which I would imagine many of you do, which I appreciate, then I would recommend that you check out the website where you can buy some merchandise on there or even donate if you'd like to. And just check out the website, sign up for my free newsletter. That's pushingthelimits.live, and I appreciate all of you doing so. And I would ask that you do that if you can. So Donald Trump was speaking in Milwaukee, Wisconsin yesterday, where apparently he said it was a horrible city. And then he backtracked yesterday. But listen, the amount of lies, mistruths that Donald Trump spoke to yesterday are too many for me to even talk about. I spoke to about that a little bit in the first hour. And this is I'm just going to play a few clips here because it's mesmerizing how many ridiculous things he said yesterday. He talked about sharks again. He talked about not taxing people on tips again. But here's Donald Trump as he does every rally, literally lying about the crowd size and then talking about Elvis Presley.
I said, honey, I'll tell you, it was unbelievable. How good was it? It was unbelievable. The crowd, nobody's ever seen a crowd. That broke every record in New Jersey history. Nobody's ever seen 100, and I don't have a guitar. Don't forget, Elvis had a guitar. I don't have a guitar. Nothing. I stand up here by myself. Terrible.
Yeah, he doesn't have a guitar. Terrible. By the way, inflated numbers everywhere he goes. I went to the Trump rally in Vegas. They claimed 30 to 40,000 people. There weren't even 5,000 people at the rally. Totally inflated crowds everywhere, claiming that he gets bigger crowds than Bruce Springsteen, who can get 50 to 100,000 people easily in an arena. Donald Trump would be lucky if he could get 5,000 people. They said the same thing in the Bronx, where they claimed, oh my God, 6 figures. There were literally a few thousand people that were listening to Donald Trump speak. He does this everywhere. And then do you see these videos? It's everywhere he goes. He waves to a fake crowd because he's a fake snake oil salesman. He did it in Vegas. He did it yesterday, waving at the airport to nobody who's there. Literally, nobody there, pointing to a camera of an intern that's recording it when he's literally waving to invisible people. At this point, it's so embarrassing, it's laughable. Again, he does this in every single speech. This is Donald Trump attacking immigrants yesterday.
You have people that come in illegally that don't speak the language. We don't even know the country. These are countries where we have nobody in our country that even understands the language.
Nobody in our country that understands the language. I'm not sure Donald Trump understands the language. Okay, so first of all, I'm wondering if his wife, Melania Trump, knew the language really well when she came here. Last I checked, it's not a prerequisite that you have to speak English fluently to be in the United States of America. And he makes these kinds of ad hominem attacks on immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal, every single day. This is what makes America great, in my personal opinion. Diversity. People from all colors of the crayon box, for lack of a better term. people that come in from everywhere because they want the freedoms that the U.S. allows them to have. Because, yes, I still do believe it's the greatest country in the world. And many of these people don't have the money. They don't have the ability, at least at certain points in their life, to learn another language. Do I hope that they come to this country, they do it the right way, and maybe they get to a point where they can learn to speak English? Yeah, I think that would help them in their life. Absolutely. But you don't have to speak English to come into this country. That's what makes America great. Not an orange rapist who gets up on a stage and lies every single day. That's not making America great again. I think it's dividing America again. That's what I think it's doing. I'll take a few phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, the number, I know a lot of people have been waiting very patiently on hold. Why don't we go to Sean? Sean is next up on PTL. Hi, Sean. Where are you calling from?
Kentucky.
Thanks for calling in from Kentucky. Sean, what's on your mind today?
Well, I'm just wondering, snapshots of sound bites are a little bit of everything. So if the media is just cutting out what they want you to see and hear, that's what you're going to see and hear. Because he didn't say Milwaukee was a terrible place.
So nobody
That's what was soundbited.
No, actually, sir, that wasn't soundbited because it wasn't even on audio. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, because when he said it was a horrible city, there were multiple Republicans on the record who said that he said that in a closed-door meeting. So with all due respect, sir, the media had nothing to do with that. There were actually Republicans that were in that room. He never said it on audio. He never said it on tape. And the media, as you claim, did not have the opportunity to edit anything. So I'm just going by what some people in the room said, sir.
Well, the other Republicans say he didn't say that, so who's right?
Okay, well, if you don't believe he said that, then you have the right to believe that, sir. But when I hear a man in public say that he doesn't respect somebody because they were captured, or talks about on tape injecting yourself with disinfectant, or actually...
That was snapshots and sound bites.
Okay, so he didn't say that.
So sound clips.
Okay, so just because you have a clip, does that mean he didn't say it? Or did someone else say it in another voice?
He said... it's kind of like you only get half the story. Like the George Floyd thing when he was on his knee. You didn't show the 20 minutes before that where he was in the cop car and all that.
Actually, they did. The media, they showed that in the trial. Actually, they did. They showed all the...
Yeah, after the riots had done happen.
All right, so let's talk
the riots going.
Sure, so let's talk about that. So in the trial, they showed every body camera and every video, and a jury decided that Derek Chauvin is a murderer. He is a convicted murderer. So forget about the media for a moment. Would you say that George Floyd was murdered because a jury of Derek Chauvin's peers convicted him of murder? So would you agree with me that it was murder?
I don't know if it was murder because...
Okay, but the jury does. And guess what? He's in jail right now. He's a convicted murderer. So it really doesn't matter what your opinion is on George Floyd.
How many people have been convicted in their lives and found out later on they were innocent?
Okay, so you think Derek Chauvin is going to be found out later? That's DNA, sir. There's no DNA in this case. There's actual video that unedited of Derek Chauvin putting his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes, and then he died. A jury of his peers found him to be guilty. Now, Derek Chauvin, there's no DNA that's going to find him free of this. I'm just letting you know. And then there were two also.
Right.
Okay, I'm just being honest with you based on that. Now, I'm not...
No, I get it.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I get it.
Okay,
go ahead. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get 100% what you're saying. But what I'm getting at is when the whole thing happened, they only showed him on his neck. They didn't show the beginning of it, and that's how all the riots got started.
I mean,
because the media
here's why.
only put the first...
No, sir. Here's why. With all due respect, here's why. Because I know how this works because I was a reporter for 10 years. The police did not release the body cam footage until months later. That's on the police department, and that's normal protocol. The videos you saw right away were snapped by cell phones by private citizens. The private citizen video was up on social media within days. But the reason why you didn't see all the other body camera footage, because in a lot of cases, that's up to the police department, and the police department didn't release it. Once they did, then CNN and every network was showing that extra body camera footage. That's all I'm saying, sir.
Well, right, but if they're burning down cities, why wouldn't you want to get that evidence out there right then and there? Hey, wait a minute, this guy was on fentanyl. You guys need to stop what you're doing here.
Well, he could have been on every drug in the book, but the bottom line, sir, is regardless of whether he was on fentanyl or not, he was murdered. Conversation to be continued if you'd like to call in another day, but I do appreciate your call, sir. Thank you very much. We have run out of time. What I would like all of you to do, I ask you for one favor, okay? Check out my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live. We have merch on there. You can donate on there and support what I do here at Pushing the Limits. And listen, the MAGA right, they don't want me on the air. At least some of them don't. Even some of them will refuse to admit that they're obsessed with me. But check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. A big MAGA supporter who represents many MAGA candidates, Woodrow Johnson's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. I also do quickly want to thank Caroline Leavitt, the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump, for joining us as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place?